spend too much. There goes the recording. So thanks again for joining us today. We're excited to have a chance to chat a bit about our partnership and how we do things in the cloud. So as you know, this session is about Blackbird and TVU, and we're looking specifically about how we sit together in a cloud workflow to provide more speed and efficiency when we're looking at live production, clipping, and so on. So I'd like to welcome today two guests. We've got Josh Tucker, Director of Digital Engagement at TVU, and Mateus Dominguez, Product Manager. Hi, guys.
Hey,
hello, everyone.
Hey,
Pleasure
good
to
morning.
be here.
Good morning, for you anyway. So the idea today is not for us to go through tons and tons of PowerPoint and talk too much in general. We'd like to actually show you a couple of things. So we are going to just introduce TVU and introduce Blackbird for anybody on the session who doesn't know us very well, with a little bit of context, a little bit of background. Otherwise, we're going to share screens and get stuck in and give you a little glimpse into what the product and what the workflow looks like. So first of all, I'm going to hand over to Josh and let Josh tell us a bit about TVU Networks. Josh, all yours.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let me just share my screen real quick. We tested it before, so it should still work. So I want to really start at the beginning of TVU Networks because about 17, 18 years ago, right, we were known and really got in the space of these video transmission packs, which is our award-winning TVU One. You can see all the specs below. You know, it's a powerhouse, lets you go live of anywhere you want to go. But over these past couple of years, and also as we look towards the future, is we have really started working in the cloud space, right? We have taken our fundamental tech and put them in an omni-cloud environment that's taken us to places that we didn't necessarily even know was possible, right? We have an entire breadth of products that allow people to connect, create, and deliver live streams, content creation, whatever it may be. And you can just see a quick little breakdown of some of them below. And like I said before, that list is ever growing. And so we really believe that the next generation and the current generation as well of production, it's all in the cloud, right? Which is exactly why we've partnered with Blackbird with this webinar, because it's the future of everything related to content creation, and it also can save you time and money, and also a lot of the times you get to be remote from your couch, which is a lot better than sometimes having to go in the office or bring in a 44-foot Suburbo van or Sprinter vans or whatever it is, right? You can do it all from a laptop, and so that's kind of the 30,000 foot view of TVU Networks and kind of the direction we're heading for. There's a lot that I could go into, but we just don't have the time. So I'm going to pass it back over to Oliver for a little breakdown of Blackbird.
And we're focusing on Producer today, right, Josh? I think
yes, that's correct. Yep. So
as you said, we need a long webinar to get through all of those ones.
Exactly. That would be a really long one. Do we want to go ahead and do the demo now for Producer, or do you want to go to break down some stuff about?
I'll do it. I'll kind of do a quick intro on the Blackbird side as well, I think, and then we can kick off with that. So if I jump, I'll steal the screen back. So on the Blackbird side, again, you know, I think everyone on the call hopefully knows we're a cloud-based video editing and content creation platform. Essentially, what we do that's different is we enable a different way of working with content inside the browser. So we have our own, unique tech, our own IP that allows us to handle video, navigate it, access it, manipulate that in a browser environment differently to normal technology, as it were. And certainly that offers a lot of benefits over traditional application-based workflows. So for most of our customers, ranges from sports teams, leagues and federations up through service providers to global broadcasters in both the sports and the news and also the entertainment space. It comes down to several key points, really. In sports and news on the live side, which is really what we're focusing on today, it's often around speed. So how quickly can I get my users to my content? How quickly can I create that content? And how quickly can I get it delivered? And we try and encompass that as an end-to-end workflow, not just as the creation piece in the middle of it. For other businesses where speed maybe isn't such a priority, flexibility of user base, scalability of access, being able to integrate into multiple different silos of content, lots of things like that becoming particularly important around resilience and again, scalability of the business. And I think everybody under that umbrella would agree that saving money, efficiencies on infrastructure and sustainability is really important. So they're the key points that we try and hits, that we focus on when we're delivering value into our customers. And as I said, that applies across a wide range of workflows as well. But today, we're looking at, as we said, the TVU Producer piece of it. So this is live production in the cloud, how that can tie into video editing and live content creation, and then how we can look at publishing and pushing that back from there. So let's get stuck into the demo. It's the interesting bit. Josh, back over to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna share my screen one more time. I got to note that my audio was a little bit low. Is it good now? Can we hear? Does that sound better? I just want to make sure if you can.
It's okay for you, but I might just have mine turned up.
I know. I turned myself.
I can hear
it. I'm not blowing anybody's eardrums out now. So
just quickly.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Josh. I was just a quick reminder. I remembered for everyone on the call while we're going through these sessions, because we're going to go quite fast today. There's a Q&A button at the bottom, so please feel free to chuck some questions in. If we don't cover off something specific, drop it in there, and we're going to make sure we get some questions before we finish today. Sorry, Josh, on you go.
Yeah, we're in a speed webinar, right? We're trying to get everybody in and out. So like Oliver said, right, we're here to talk about TVU Producer. We don't have time to talk about the entire TVU ecosystem. So Producer is our premier cloud native streaming solution for live video productions and broadcast. Now it can do anything from going live on Twitch, right? You can be a small production house that wants to host 1 or 2 people, the talent's the operator, right? Or you can be in a massive production where you're trying to do sporting events, right? The applications are really limitless. So again, asking who's TV Producer for me personally, I come from a news background, right? I was an executive producer of digital content. So for me, when I see it, I immediately see the applications of if people are trying to add more live streams, right? If we're trying to do OTT specials, we've all been there where it's like, oh, okay, we want to be able to create something, but we don't have a lot of resources, don't have a lot of time. What does it look like? And that's where Producer slots in perfectly, because you can create a minimal viable product, test to see if your audience is interested in this show very easily, very cheaply, and then you'll be able to go out and test it, change things here and there, and you're not sinking thousands upon thousands of dollars into infrastructures or anything of that nature. It's all right there in the cloud from your laptop. It also makes multi-camera setup a breeze. Mateus, he's going to show you a little bit how it ties in with our TVU Anywhere application. You can turn 5 cameras or 5 phones into 5 high-powered cameras, and then you'll be able to show the scenes will sync up. You'll have no lag, and the world really becomes your oyster of anything is possible, right? Especially if you bring in like the entire TV ecosystem. Some 3 things that we truly believe is that going live from anywhere in the world should be done easily, which is why we're heading to the cloud, and we're in the cloud already. And also, what is really cool is that if cloud-based means that if your computer loses power, we have some bad storms moving through the state right now. If you lose power, if you lose internet connection, the instance of the production stays up. You can quickly send a URL link to somebody in your company, to a friend, to somebody at TVU Networks. We've done that before, right? And we will jump in and make sure your production stays up. We'll pop up a screen if we need to. And then also one thing that is critically important is that you only pay for the time that you use it. This is not a subscription-based service. You pay per hour. That's it. If you don't use it for weeks, it doesn't matter. And you pop it up, use it for 10 hours. That's just 10 hours of uses. There is no hidden fees or anything of that nature. And then I'm going to go ahead and send it right over to Mateus, because that's really the exciting thing here, is be able to show it in action.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you for the introduction. I will go more to the practical part of the, going to the demonstration, talking a little bit about the basic features of Producer. So as Josh, introduced, Producer is a complete PCR solution on the cloud, right? So not only seamless switching, but we also have graphics, we have audio mixing, clip players, communication, so IFB between the operators. So all the components that are part of the of a PCR is present in Producer. So this is the very this is the very first view that you have of whenever you start a production. As you can see, like you can configure all your slots. So here we are showing 8 live sources. So by live sources, I mean Producer has integration between all the portfolio of TVU connects to each other, right? So Producer can receive TVU packs, So TVU Grid, which is SDI inputs on TVU transceivers, rack mount machines. We have TVU Anywhere, which is our iOS, Android, app. So anyone with an iPhone or with an Android device can become a live source into Producer. External IP sources. So we support the very common protocols available in the industry: HLS, SRT, RTMP, RTP, and goes on, right? ZXC. So we also have Pipeline, which is a separate solution for conferencing. So you could have like talents connecting to that solution first. They will be able to talk in between them, and you are able to select which talent you want to bring as a live source. Everything's very low latency. So in addition to the live sources, we also have the clip players. This is actually what we use. It's going to be demonstrated the use case with Blackbird. So while I'm doing the demonstration, we are doing a live transmission to Blackbird. They're ingesting that, and then we are going to bring back a clip into Producer using the clip player. So you can build your clip list. You can define how it's going to play, if it's playing loop or if it's going to play the whole list and stop. So there is this whole control. We have DVEs, so you can build your layouts as you may want. If you want any of the sources available here in Producer can be used to build your layout. So it's up to the user to build as many layouts as they want, the way they want. They can have backgrounds, they can have HTML5 based overlays to use with the DVEs as well. Going to the as I said, there is many other features available inside Producer. So first of them, very basic to be used is the graphics. So you can upload logos, still images, PNG, JPEG. We have integration with very nice partners like Singular, Flowix for bringing, for example, social media posts as graphics into your production. You can also control that from Producer. So integrating with Singular, you could, just buy a token from Singular, you input that into Producer, you're able to control all your graphics from the Producer interface. And also as I said, Producers can render any HTML5 based graphics. So if you just want to bring any other platform, just a URL, and you are able to render that on your output. Audio mixing, very basic control on the UI. You can just enable your channels that you want to be mixed on the output, or you can just have audio follow video. But in addition to that, you can have a separate audio mixer with more advanced controls. So, and the nice thing about Producer is the collaboration, right? So you could have multiple operators controlling different points of the production at the same time. So you could just forward the link to someone that is in a complete different location, just to control the mixing portion of Producer. So, enabling channels, changing the mixing, pan, audio levels, everything can be done from the audio mixer page. Intercom, so you can bring, so just an example, to bring a source to Producer, it's easy as, just clicking. I have a QR code. I scan that QR code with my TVU Anywhere, which is the iOS or Android app, and I can bring that as a source to Producer. I add to the slot, and I will have the source available for live. So this is just like the process of starting a live transmission. And I could communicate with that iPhone. So I have intercom with all the talents that are connecting to the production. Depending with the type of encoder that they are using. So I can bring sources and even communicate with those slots. And I can also use Pipeline as a side connection as well. Live captions. So as I said, all the portfolio of TVU, they are integrated. So TVU has a solution for transcription. So you can, do audio transcription to closed captions, and you can put that on your transmission from Producer to your output. SCSI support, this is very important for ads. So, we pass through coming from your encoder, you have SCSI 104. We convert that to SCSI 35 and pass through that, or you can also trigger that from Producer UI and send that to the CDNs and use the correct ad insertion. PTZ control, you can bring PTZ cameras using TVU encoders such as transceivers or packs, and Producer can connect to that camera using a VLAN connection to the camera and control the pan, tilt, and zoom of the camera, and clip players, which I already talked about. So this is like a very basic presentation of Producer. Of course, there are more details. We could dig into more details here, but it's a very quick presentation. But any questions, just throw it on the Q&A session, and we will talk about that. Here on the output session, it's basically how, as I said, we have Blackbird, an HLS stream going to Blackbird right now. So they're ingesting, recording that. And Oliver is going to present how they, all the work that can be done in Blackbird, and then how we return that into Producer, publishing to the S3 bucket. But just talking here really, really fast about the outputs as well. We support any, most common protocols as well as the input. We have HLS, SRT, ZXC, RTMP, social medias. So you can basically authenticate your account. So you just put your login, and you are going to be able to control the publishing to the social media directly from Producer. So all the APIs available, we are using that to integrate to those partners. So with this basic introduction, I will hand over to Oliver to talk about Blackbird, and then we go back showing how the result of the Blackbird editing and bringing back to Producer. Thank you.
Thanks, Bernays. So yeah, you squeezed a lot in there. It's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious that that's it's a powerful tool for sure. I think one interesting thing that I'll look at as we go through the Blackbird side of things is why an integration with an editor and a live production function like that is interesting. So and I'll expand on that as I talk. But, share my screen here, and you'll notice, both on the Mateus side of things and on my side of things, we're just sat inside the web browser here, and we can come and log into the platform. So again, Blackbird is a full native browser-based solution. There's no toolbars or plugins or extensions or anything. As a user, if I log in, I've got a variety of content you can see here. None of this is local to my system, obviously. But I can come and browse. I'm just going to find that live stream that is getting sent in from Mateus here. So this is the production. This stream's actually been running a little while, so you can see I've got quite a lot of content here. And I've got full non-linear movement through all of this media. If I zoom in here, you can see I can jump around as much as I like, and I have access down to every single frame of content. So the view that I'm starting in here is around kind of simple clipping and simple content creation. One of the important things about the way Blackbird works is the level of access and accuracy that you have to that media right from the start. So in a lot of our live workflows, really fast turnaround, simple clipping is very important. That's where I can sit in an interface like this, just a few seconds behind live. So if I jump to the end of this this live stream here, we'll see it's growing in front of me. I can be watching, clipping up, editing, and publishing this stuff. As I said, about 5 seconds behind live. So for lots of users, it's a case of marking it in, marking it out, using hotkeys or whatever is easiest, and just dragging and dropping and publishing a piece of content. So that's super simple, but it's a really important part of lots of the workflows that we do. Now, there are lots of functions out there that can do simple clipping from web streams. This, as I say, is an important part of what we do, but the really interesting bit of this workflow actually is when we start to move through to more complex content creation. So I can come into a different layout here, and I'm starting to, rather than clip, actually create a sequence of clips. So I've got a log-based timecode view that we saw there, got a thumbnail-based clipping view that I can start to use to create a sequence. And I'm just going to grab a few clips. and chuck them into this here. Okay, so we're still simple. From the Blackbird side, this kind of view is often used by producers or non-editing staff to start to put selections of content together. They can search external metadata, transcription metadata, and so on to start to create that kind of sequence. If I come through into the timeline, you'll see this kind of starts to look a little more interesting. And the immediate thing you can notice here is actually that on the audio side here, we're pulling through all 8 audio tracks from this stream. So, you know, Blackbird is a professional editing post-production tool that's used by many people for complex sports highlights or news package creation. And when we start to get into the types of features that Matthias touched on, like multicam, that's where this integration becomes really interesting. So we can sit on a single stream as we are now. This is the produced feed coming out of TVU Producer. We could also take multiple cameras, and Blackbird supports real-time, live, or file-based multicam syncing and editing within the platform as well as you can see here, management of multiple audio tracks. Now, normally when we get into this world, there would be several steps in between to do with capturing content, getting it into the right environment, storage environment, running up virtual machines for traditional desktop editors and desktop edit applications, and getting users into that infrastructure, and essentially having, you know, whether it's local or virtualized or in the cloud or on premise, a post-production facility. What we can do here is bring full power of complex editing right into that live workflow where I'm managing all of this within the live itself. So this includes obviously not just accessing the content. Blackbird actually supports up to 18 video tracks, 36 audio tracks. It's full, slippable, mixable, real-time transitions, and a completely non-destructive, non-linear editor. We can obviously start to add video and audio mixes here. We have independent video and audio control, so I can start to come in and do some fades up or do my J and L cuts within my content, all sorts of functions like that. Obviously, branding is an important thing, so we can actually auto brand on the publish buttons. If I'm creating, whether it's a simple clip or whether it's a complex edit, I can come in and start to find some branded content. So let me check something on the front of here. And I've now started to create an edit within the interface here with straight from that live stream. Now I'm going to carry on, but just to finish up on the publishing side, as I said, we can do a manual brand. We can also do automated pre-roll, post-roll, logo overlays, square publishing, portrait publishing, or anything like that. The idea being that we're taking the detail in ingest and publish away from the user side of things. So the content just appears when I've created a piece of this, a piece of content that I'm happy with. I just drag and drop and I publish it. I'm publishing that back to TVU Producer, but this could go straight to Facebook, to other storage functions, for distribution to other paths as well. Now, beyond the kind of simple kind of editing I've done here with some transitions and so on, as I mentioned, Blackbird has multiple video tracks and audio track support. Every single one of those supports multiple effects as well. So I can pop into a video. I'm going to start up with lots of closed caption tracks here, because we support up to 4 different closed caption layers and 4 different subtitle layers as well. And every one of these videos has full keyframeable scale and position control, blur effects, crop effects, as you can see here, borders, highlights, and so on like that. So I can come and add in blur masks and transition that within my edit as well. On the audio side of things, if I pop any of my audio tracks open, and that's up to 36 audio tracks, I've got, again, full pan and level control over this, so I can add keyframes within here. I can dip and mix and keyframe the levels in the pan within every single one of those 36 audio tracks. As I said, that can include different kind of transitions and mixing within the audio, and lots of options around publish to do with maintaining tracks, mixing down, or anything like that within the editor as well. I mentioned closed captions, so obviously this can be externally generated metadata, stream embedded metadata. Also, we support things like voiceover within the platform to add your voiceover directly. So right now, I'm recording my own voice down straight into my edit through my laptop microphone. So the idea is, as I said, that anything from simple content creation through to complex is available within the platform for any user to be able to access from anywhere immediately as part of that live workflow. I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to chuck back to Matthias and we can have a look at this content coming back over. Should be able to share your screen, Matthias. So the nice thing about obviously the workflow that we're looking at is the potential to not just sit off the back of a live and publish to social or digital or something like that, but actually to send back into live production. So feasibly you could be editing a closer or editing a piece of content for the live show that goes back. I realized I didn't name that, Matthias. It should be called Untitled.
Okay.
If that hasn't caused you any problems.
That's why I was like, where is the...
I can see you thinking, where's the asset? Have you got it? Is it come back?
Okay, just a second. This should arrive to me now.
It should have been on its way, but if something's gone wrong, then you can just give us an idea of what would happen in an ideal world.
Okay, so screen sharing. So here, as I said, the clip player, I can, bring, so what Oliver did is publishing the result of the edited file to my S3. So we have access to the cloud drive where all the files are available. So this is basically our S3. So each user has its own, space for bringing the files. I can just, select that file, play it, select it to preview, PGM, and I have it already going to program. So the whole process of, I'm in real time transmitting to Oliver in Blackbird, editing could happen in real time and bring back that content into Producer really, really fast. So, it's a, in terms of speed for production, is very, very interesting. So
yes, as I said, we have had customers in the past who have delivered back in to live production, live broadcast environments for play out, even though the majority of what Blackbird gets used for is going out to digital multi-platform deliveries, VOD and OTT platforms and so on. But I think it's a good indication of the speed of turnaround from essentially, a live production platform to a post platform and back to show kind of what's possible within that environment. So I'm going to steal this screen share back off you, Matthias, and say thank you. We're not going to end immediately, but we've hit the half-hour point. So if anybody on the call needs to drop off, thanks for your time today. Please get in touch if you want more information. Obviously, it was a real whistle-stop tour of what we're doing together. If you've got a little more time, we're going to stick on. I'm going to answer some of the questions that have come in. So otherwise, as I said, thanks very much, and please feel free to go to your next call if you need to. We knew this was going to be a tight one for time. So let me pull up a couple of questions here because we've had quite a few come in, and I'll throw one over to either of you. I'll let you decide who wants to answer these. So we've got a question here: can TVU Producer stream to multiple platforms at once? How do you handle? You mentioned had a lot of output points there. How do you handle doing that to multiple places?
Yes, so Producer does support multiple outputs at the same time. So it depends on the package. So Producer has different packages of like inputs and outputs, number of inputs and outputs. But it could, increase as the need. So if you need, 6 simultaneous outputs, that can be done with Producer. And for different, protocols, you could use SRT, HLS, social media all at the same time. No problems on that.
And I'll give you one more then I'll answer a couple. You mentioned that you were looking at 8 inputs coming into Producer today. There's a question about what the maximum is. How do you scale up in terms of video sources and so on?
Yes, so as I mentioned, like when you see Producer, there are like 8 live slots, which is basically bringing external protocols or even TVU encoders into Producer. But we also have, so clip players and custom sources, the DVEs, they also count as slots. So currently we could, go up to 13, 14, 15 slots, but live slots are currently limited to 8. But there is some work being done to increase that as well.
Excellent. And you mentioned DVUs there. There's a question that may be a little open, but so how customizable are the DVUs? Could be a
I would
long
need
answer
to demonstrate that a little bit. Like there is a whole, we call it like a studio where you can build your own layouts. So as I said, you can use any of your inputs and resize, cut, crop that each of the sources, and position them as you may want. You can bring different backgrounds. So there is a whole view and like a studio where you can edit these those layouts. But it would also, of course, be better to have it demonstrated, and so Producer, you can actually access TVU website and sign up for some free hours, and play a little bit with it. And
Mateus took my my spotlight out here. Let's type it in. Yeah, we're currently getting 20 free hours of usage, so you can try it. So it's for a month. You get 20 hours in that first month to try it, just risk-free. There's no I was trying to drop the link in the chat here, but it says only host and panelists. But we'll send a breakdown and let everyone see. But so yeah,
Yep.
Completely risk-free. Try it out. And you can do a lot in 20 hours.
Yeah, that's for sure. Definitely. Okay, I've got a Blackbird question here asking about working with kind of in multi-cloud or what we do on our back end. So the demo we're running today is essentially inside AWS. That's where we're hosting the stream, the ingest, and the publishing. But the way that Blackbird works is actually kind of a half and half thing. So we have the cloud that the users log into, which is where obviously the editing is happening. But the media infrastructure is actually separate. So the source media can be on customer or partner infrastructure in any public cloud or even on premise and so on. The idea with us is that we don't want you to send all of your content to us to store and handle, but actually we want to integrate into workflows. And I think that I make a distinction there in that when we're looking at a live workflow like we are today, it's not that critical because we're working on the content, we're producing, we're publishing, and we're moving on. But for a lot of our customers, it's a file-based workflow where actually there can be large repositories of media. We might be sat on top of working on top of media asset management functions or existing silos of storage. So it's a key thing for us to be able to integrate with multiple platforms and multiple different infrastructures from a media storage point of view. To answer that one. Question, I'll throw you another one here asking about how far the PTZ control functionality goes, Mateus.
Yeah, so currently it's basic control of pan, zoom, and tilt, pan, tilt, and zoom. There is also some implementation being done for being able to get memories. So you would memory a position and be able to call that memory. But so far those are the controls. And just another point about the control, we use Visca for the control layer, but the transmission layer could be any kind of encoder. So of course, TVU encoders would bring that with higher quality and lower latency to Producer. But the control layer uses Visca.
That's pretty universal.
Yep.
In the PTZ camera world, isn't it? Excellent. So I'll pick up another one. We asked about kind of scalability and Producer with streams and so on. We've got a question about maximum users in Blackbird and the scalability on that side. In essence, there is no maximum users. So I talked a minute ago about the infrastructure being separate from the edit users. Obviously, ingest functions and compute behind publishing and media processing scales, depending on the infrastructure and the cloud that you're in. Users, you could have one person on that live stream, or you could have 100, or you could have 1,000. Makes no difference. And that's one of the key differentiators for us against traditional edit applications, is that to have more people editing, the infrastructure needs to scale behind it. Obviously, for us being completely natively browser-based it's a completely, it's a different world, and gives a huge amount of flexibility to scale up and down, pop up and add users and address different projects and different needs appropriately. Also, lots of question here about is Blackbird tied in with TVU bundles for purchasing airtimes and all sorts of stuff like that. It isn't at the moment. So you would be a TVU customer and a Blackbird customer, but if you're interested, get in touch. I'm sure we can look at something. We're more than happy to talk joint solutions and put something appropriate in there as well. Okay, so we've overrun for a bit. Josh, have you spotted any other questions you particularly want to take care of? Otherwise, of course, we're more than happy to follow up and make sure we answer everything post-webinar. It's conscious of stealing too much of everyone's time.
Yeah, I've been digging in a little bit and trying to answer some. There are a couple that aren't related to our product talking about now, so I'm just getting clarification. I took down the name and I'll reach out when I get the answer. But we got a couple questions about the audio mixer, so I'd like to kind of let Mateus highlight that.
Yeah, there is one that I actually think it's interesting. It's about if audio mixer can be supported in a touch screen platform. So yes, we could have iPad. We have already used that. So you could open the audio mixer separately from Producer in an iPad and use touchscreen. But also very important to mention is that we support any media devices. So you could purchase a media device by $100 in Amazon and connect that to your computer to control the audio mixer as well. So very, very open to different controls.
And Elgato too. We have the Elgato Stream Deck, which I feel like is kind of taking over the world for so many things. We have a full hotkeys functionality with that. You can set
exactly.
So that's
yeah.
Cool. All righty. Well, listen, I think we better call it there. We're 10 minutes over. We've still got a lot of people with us, so thanks very much for giving us the extra time. We will follow up with you, so you'll have contact details. Any of the kind of more technical questions that come in that we haven't got to in the session, obviously either or both of us are happy to follow up with additional information or jump on a call and get stuck into the detail on that one. So I'll just say thanks again to Josh and Mateus for the time today. Thanks, guys.
Thank you everyone for joining and be with us. It was really a pleasure.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Cheers.